Hey guys, this is gonna be a full build guide video for the sort of called Divine Ire totem build Inquisitor. And I did a very similar build a couple weeks ago. It was in 3.18 and it was a Hierophant. I was using like Viridius Veil, Soul Mantle, Coward's Legacy, Mark of the Shaper, and Self-Flagellation, but I was also using Forbidden Jewels to steal Inquisitors to ignore a resistance node. But now that jewel is very expensive, probably thanks to the Guardian rework. So this time I wanted to redo the build because that build performed really well, and I could get really big shocks and chills and even freezes. And this time I'm actually going with the Annihilating light staff, Heatshiver, Utula's Hunger yet again, and also using the new Replica Dragonfang flight amulet to get +3 levels to Divine Ire. The build actually in the end performed really well, and it performed okay. I did farm tier 16s, like the most just blight and excavation, and for those things it worked well, although for blight you don't really even need a build. It was performing really well, and the final damage, like in theory, if I put everything together and I don't have any expensive class, I don't have Bottle Fate, I don't have Taste of Fate, with those two together it would hit for over 11 million average hit damage with the beam. And I have 2 totems. However, this build it feels like it does not reach its potential. In my current setup, I should be reaching almost 7 million average hit damage, but it does have few conditional things, and I think once again Heatshiver is kind of fooling me. In order to reach full potential, the enemy has to be shocked, it has to be frozen, and then hit again. But the Divine Ire doesn't hit very often with the beam. I do have 2 totems, right? So for example, one totem shocks and freezes, and then the next totem, when it releases the beam, will do full damage. And then it kind of ramps up. And I do have increased freeze duration, and some bosses cannot fully be slowed down, but I think you can still proc freeze on them. We're still gonna be able to move. However, for some reason I'm not even able to reach my shock limit. And I am hitting for much harder than my previous build in 3.18 League. That build only had 1 million average hit damage, and this one has almost 7 million average hit damage. But I'm still somehow unable to shock Sirius for like 50%. Right from the beginning, it felt like the build isn't working properly, and I can't quite tell. Is there some kind of bug, or is it Heatshiver or just too many conditional things and something isn't really synergizing well enough? And I tried a full conversion into cold with the 2 Call of the Brotherhood. Leave some of the lightning to be able to shock, and that didn't feel right. It still wasn't freezing, so I adjusted it to have the skill has 50% conversion into lighting, and then I get the remaining conversion from the gloves. And that way I have almost 100% conversion, but half of it is physical, half of it is cold, half of it is lighting. And then I'll also get from that cold damage, I also get 100% as extra fire damage if I can freeze because of the Heatshiver. So it's triple elemental damage, but it's not really performing as well as I expected. In some cases, I did a lot of damage and almost two-shotted one of the Guardians. So yeah, the build isn't too expensive, and I don't know the budget of this, but it also does not have any defenses. The main defense is you freeze enemies, and then you just don't run straight into enemies. Go in zigzag so that we cannot bombard you with projectiles. And yeah, the main defense is freeze enemies, so anything that can avoid being frozen, excavation enemies with a chance to avoid being frozen, you will probably want to avoid that thing, because your main defense is freezing enemies and just running around and dodging stuff manually. And the reason why I build it like this, well, first of all, big damage, big numbers. Numbers big, so the build must be good. But also for the league mechanic, eventually you're just gonna start getting one-shotted no matter what. So may as well just go full damage. So I thought that this could work well for the league mechanic, do big damage, shock, freeze, frozen enemies cannot move, so it would be safe. And I did try to do league mechanics a bit. I reached 250 rank and stuff because I got bored. It can freeze them, but it's not as good as I expected, and only 2 totems mean that they're kind of very one-directional. They target 2 enemies, sometimes the same enemy, and the other enemies behind them don't really take much damage, because Divine Ire, while it is shattering and zapping other enemies, it's doing minuscule damage, very small damage. It can't freeze like normal enemies in maps, so it creates kind of safety because frozen enemies, and then it does the beam and does big damage. But in the league mechanic, I feel like 2 totems aren't quite enough, unless those 2 totems would cover like more AoE. And also, the build requires quite a bit of cast speed in order to feel not clunky. Because if it takes too long to release the beam, the totems automatically release beam at 20 at 20 charges, at 20 stacks, and it gets stacks when while channeling and also while hitting enemies while channeling. So the more enemies there are, the quicker it's gonna ramp up those 20 stacks and release the beam. With not enough cast speed, it takes too long to release the beam, and it just feels like when you place totems and then have to run around doing pretty much nothing, waiting for the totem to do damage. So until you get enough cast speed, it may feel a bit clunky and bad, but I currently have 6.18 cast rate, and that feels fine. And for mapping, I am actually running faster casting, which I do swap into concentrated effect for bossing. Actually, I reached level 90 on a 5 link, and only then I added a 6 link and started running faster casting for the 6 link for the clear speed. So as always, I'm gonna leave path of building import code in the description, but I'm gonna go over my items, but like very quickly. I have a massive brain fog, so I want to keep it short and simple. So once again, like my items: Heatshiver, Utula Sanger, 2 Taming rings, one of the new Replica Dragonfangs, blight amulet with the +3 to Divine Ire. As I said, anointed the freeze duration because you really want. If enemies are not frozen when you do the beam, then you lose a lot of damage. So I try to increase the freeze duration as much as possible. But that also meant that I cannot anoint Charisma, increase mana reservation efficiency, so I had to actually run Enlighten, and my current auras are Purity of Elements, because Annihilating Light, the trick is getting enough resistances. And I do have plenty of resistances right now. So I am running Purity of Elements, Zealotry, and Hatred, and Enlighten linked to that. The gloves need to have a lot of conversion. The bench crafted conversion on the gloves is not going to be enough. You need essentially 50% extra conversion. So you can reach that by getting veiled gloves with them, or should I say unveiled gloves. When you unveil a modifier, you get a bigger conversion. And then implicit Eater of Walls with the second tier with these. I actually spend 1 divine rerolling. It's so annoying rerolling these. So you get full conversion. A nerve only added the last level as well. You want to avoid any life modifiers on any other items except the body armor if you're gonna be using Utula Sanger. And Utula Sanger, I think, is so amazing. I have 5.6k life, and if you look at the POB, I only have 116% increased life from the passive tree. So if I wanted, I could easily get 6k life. And there are more life nodes around, I just didn't take them because why I don't need more life. And this is Inquisitor, so you pretty much always run Corrupted Soul because you want to split the damage between life and ES that you take. That way you can double your regen essentially. So yeah, every item pretty much needs to have a lot of resistances. Divine Ire is level 2120, very cheap. Linked to increased critical damage, faster casting for clear speed, conk effect for single target, increased critical damage, spell totem, and inspiration to lower the mana cost. And as you can see, I have very small amount of mana pool left, but it is plenty. It's actually sufficient, because Divine Ire only costs 7 mana and 6 life because of the life mastery. And because Divine Ire is a channeling skill and channeling skills have lower mana cost, it works really well with the totems. I also do have Cold Snap. Cold Snap is linked to Bone Chill, Unbound Ailments, and Control Destruction. This is important as well. Control Destruction is important because I do have a Staff Master. 60% critical strike multiplier if you haven't dealt a critical strike recently. It doesn't count if totems crit, because totems are not you. So you yourself do not want to crit, so the Flame Dash may actually crit sometimes, so you need to be careful. And of course I have Cast on Death Portal, and also do have Val Righteous Fire with increased duration. This is just like for single target, but I don't find many opportunities to use it essentially. I am using Diamond Flask, but I have 94 crit chance without Diamond Flask, so it's not really needed. I do have Granite Flask on kind of auto, which also does increase crit chance. The Large Cluster Jewel, you want to get enough dexterity and LRS, so yeah, I got this one. The important thing is Ancestral Inspiration. You get Arcane Surge, which does give you cast speed, and also, well, this one also gas speed. Essentially, you want gas speed as much as possible. So on the medium jewel, you want the totem one. The sleepless sentries give onslaught whenever you place the totem, so that's great. I do have a couple tattoos to fix my attribute requirements. I do need quite a bit of dex for the hatred, but because this amulet reduces attribute requirement, it makes it easier to use things like hatred. And as Inquisitor, you want... Oh damn, I lost too much intelligence. As Inquisitor, you want to balance your strength and intelligence to be as equal as possible, because you get 1% increased critical strike chance per point of strength or intelligence, whichever is lower. So you want to keep them close together. So for example, why did I lose intelligence? I had more. I think I refunded something. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I don't quite have a build idea for the next build just yet. I mean, I do have a couple ideas, but nothing too concrete. So if you got some interesting build ideas, let me know in the comments below. And also, the next time you see me, I may actually be bald. I think it's time, because there's not much left on the front here. And anyway, anyway, so yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.